Yes, we've had first qualifying, but what about second qualifying? Ciao friends and welcome back to 2sex Ted. I just want to say first off thank you so much to John Warren for sharing my last video on their community tab. Really appreciate it. If you have come from there and you haven't yet subscribed, thank you so much for checking out my content, and I hope you do choose to click that subscribe button down below. Also, just really quickly, you may have noticed a gap in videos recently. That was twofold. Firstly, I tried doing daily videos, which it turns out I don't enjoy and you lot don't watch, so that's a pretty clear mandate to reduce the quantity in favour of quality. And as we enter the start of the season very shortly, it makes sense to move to a Monday-Thursday schedule, so that's what we shall be doing. What I wanted to talk about today, though, was a bit of F1 news that got lost among all of the team launches last week. F1 will be trialling a change to the weekend format at 3 races this year, whereby they will reduce the amount of practice on a Friday, have qualifying late on Friday, have a sprint race on Saturday, and then the Grand Prix on Sunday. The sprint race should be around 80 to 100 kilometers, which is give or take a third to a half of a standard Grand Prix distance. The results from standard qualifying on a Friday will decide the grid for the sprint race, and the results from that will decide the grid for the Sunday race. And they will be trying this at 3 races this year, at the Canadian Grand Prix in Montreal, at the Italian Grand Prix at Monza, and at the Brazilian Grand Prix at Interlagos. Assuming all of those events happen, of course. Now, interestingly, none of those events are ones that stick out that have issues with qualifying, but I think that's probably the point. Pick 3 average races and see how it goes. They are 3 fairly varied tracks, although Canada and Monza are both power circuits, but there's nothing like Monaco where qualifying is incredibly important. We'll just have to wait and see how these tests go and find out then whether or not it's worth implementing into the sport at large. Should really only benefit those drivers that have better race pace than they do qualifying pace, so your Lance Strolls, your Carlos Sainzes, that kind of person, and should only really negatively affect drivers like Valtteri Bottas, George Russell and Charles Leclerc, who have way better qualifying pace than they do race pace. But it shouldn't make that much of a difference anyway. I'm pretty sure that this is only being implemented from an entertainment point of view rather than a sporting point of view. Sprint races, as the name suggests, implies that there is no mandatory pit stop. If this goes through, I would like to see F1 implement a 2-stop minimum in the Grand Prix, which could be achieved by just mandating all 3 compounds of tyre be used. A reduction in practice time is also quite nice. Means we probably will just be seeing quali runs over practice, because the teams now have an extra set of race laps in which to prepare the car for the Grand Prix. As far as we know, they are not intending to give out any points on a Saturday as per. I still believe that points should be given out on a Sunday. That's how F1 works. But you never know, with Liberty, they might be willing to switch that up. Apparently, the suggested name for this is not going to be a sprint race. It's going to be super qualifying. It's like qualifying, but super. Seems like there's still some kinks to work out, including the fact that doing this race might increase costs significantly, and in the year when the budget cap has just started to come in, and over the coming years where it will be reducing, in fact, some teams might worry that this is going to be expensive. And teams like Red Bull, for example, who know that Mercedes tend to qualify better than they do in the race, might be willing to take the risk more so than Mercedes, but the format is the format. You make the car to suit the weekend you are given, and as long as no team is actively disadvantaged, like for example being told about the format change later than everyone else, it should still be fair, at least. There's also presumably some worry about the reliability of the power units, as they may now be doing more stressful laps over the course of a season, so we may see more power unit failures as a run of course. But likely not this year, with only 3 races. Although, as mentioned, Canada and Monza being power circuits, maybe they'll put through a lot more stress. Maybe we will see cars break down. I think Liberty just want to inject any kind of new excitement into the sport they possibly can, and they're willing to take that risk, if the F1 teams are as well. But what do you think? Are you excited to see what happens with these new sprint races? Or do you prefer the current format? Let me know in the comments down below. While you're down there, maybe leave me a like as well. Thank you all so very much for watching, and I will see you on Thursday.